Hey everyone. Um, so I guess I wanted to start today's discussion by encouraging you to submit a video for this assignment. I know that it's becoming a very popular, very important skill to have in the workforce, and it doesn't really matter where you end up working. Video production and also the associated skills with it are really valuable, and employers will find that very useful. So if you get this practice in your undergrad, or is this a master's course, in your postgrad, then it'll be great in the workforce. So to start off with, like any assignment that you do, you need to focus on the planning before you do anything else. You can't just jump in front of a video camera and hit record. This is an accessory to your written component, and it needs to reflect that same level of research and planning that goes into that. So when you're giving your pitch, I understand you're an internal consultant for Brisbane Airport, so you need to consider who you're pitching to in this scenario, and the way that you deliver your message is going to vary depending on who that person is. So if this was a research proposal, it would obviously be very different to something in the private sector. So you've got to consider the knowledge level of your audience and the vocabulary that you use when you're talking to them, and also why they want you. What are you bringing to the table? And that's going to be driven by the objectives of your assignment. So you really got to consider what areas are you researching and focusing on, and what's your analysis going to be. And the third component of this is the rubric. When I was a student, I don't think I looked at a single rubric, and that was to my detriment. When your instructor's marking this assignment, they're going to be looking at the rubric, and that's going to determine your grade. So if you plan how you structure this based on your rubric, you can get a pretty good idea about how you're going to perform. If you don't address all the criteria, you're never going to be doing very well. So the research aspect, this might not seem like a research assignment, like researching a video seems like an odd idea, but it's actually incredibly important because you need to know what you're going to say, and you're not going to know that unless you've done the groundwork and the legwork in finding out what you want to include, and also what's relevant, but what you may not actually make the final cut. This step will help you to get a really good idea about what you actually believe, what you want to argue, and what you think is necessary, and also what you think won't help, because that may come into what you end up telling the client. And the research practice will also help you arrange things in a logical sequence. At the start of this process, you might be brewing with all these different ideas about how you want to do different things, but that doesn't really help unless you put it into a sequence that the client can understand. So the bread and butter of making a video is scripting and storyboarding. And these are actually useful things outside of video production. And that's one of the reasons why I think that you should do this assignment as a video, because if you're in the practice of scripting and storyboarding something, then you can apply that to various other fields. For instance, Airbnb recently consulted with Disney, and they got some animators from Disney to help them with their user experience. So they storyboarded using animators and cartoonists to plot out their whole internal narrative on their website. And they didn't have a video for that. It was all about user experience, but they still used the skills of scripting and storyboarding to make that a story. So a good script is the foundation of a video. And without it, you're going to really struggle to make the video worthwhile. But it's a bit of a crutch in a way. When you're giving a presentation, you will have to learn your script off by heart. But when it's a video, you don't actually have to do that. So you don't have to learn it as meticulously as you would for an in-person presentation, and it's to your advantage. So you can figure out exactly what you want to say, have it in writing, and because of the tricks of video, you can use it to your advantage to make it seem like you know your topic perfectly, you know it line for line, but actually you're reading a script, and we'll cover that a little bit later. So the script encapsulates exactly what you want to say, and when you're writing it, you need to be thinking about not just what you want to tell, but what you want to show. So the whole time you've got these visuals running around in your mind about what accompanies what you're saying. Because when you've got someone talking to you in this sort of scenario, you're only going to be able to comprehend a fraction of what they're saying. But if you've got visuals that are telling the majority of the work, then that's really going to drive home your message. So that lends us to storyboards. So this is the visualization of your video. And it might not seem like something you would plan, but it's actually really, really important to plan it beforehand and to think about those visual components while you're figuring out what you want to say. So we've got an example here of what that might look like. Like, this isn't actually for a video, but it's a storyboarding structure where you segment the task into various things, and you think about what you're going to see and what you're going to think and what you're going to feel and how that relates to the overall narrative. I'll upload this PowerPoint after the lecture so you can access it. But we've got a template for a storyboard structure and an example. See if this will work for us. This is something that various schools use at UQ, and it's basically a way of organizing your script to match well with your visuals. We'll just see if it works. Hang on, bear with me. There we go. So on the left, you've got your shot number, and then this is where your script would go. And then on the right, you've got your visuals. So while you're writing your script, you want to be associating that with your visual aspects. What's going to tell your story? What's going to show what you're telling? Now, I'll hand it over to Cameron to talk about some shooting tips.
Thanks, Sean. So I've got 4 really simple tips here on how to produce a video that looks really slick and very professional. So the first one is quality audio. You wouldn't believe how important audio is in actually a visual presentation. So you think with a video, it's all about the vision. The audio is actually incredibly important to make that look absolutely slick and professional. Second tip I have for you is overlay, overlay, overlay. So not many people I know can do a full 3-minute piece to camera. So they can't just talk to a camera for 3 minutes without making mistakes. So overlay is a fantastic way to start to hide some of those mistakes. I don't mean just conceal them away, but to be able to structure your pitch in a way that you can show people what you're talking about and also allow you to split between cuts if needed. Tip number 3 is shoot at eye level. I guess in the same way some people would think with selfies, if you put your phone camera down here below your chin, it's going to look terrible. So when you're shooting, put that camera eye level with you and try and frame yourself in the shot so you're not sort of you're in the corner or half your arms cut off, that sort of thing, okay? And fourthly, show, don't tell. So visuals are incredibly powerful, particularly since when you're doing a video assignment versus a pitch. When you've got a video assignment, you can show what you're talking about. So that's something you can take advantage with in this medium. So audio. Audio is 80% of the picture. Modern cameras are really, really good at capturing good quality video. Mobile phone cameras, there's been whole feature films shot on mobile phones now. The camera quality you get on those is fantastic. Good, clear audio enhances your message. So if you look at a really professionally produced video, it's going to have really clear audio. I've got some examples. Record your audio in a quiet space. A tip I like to use is I get my duvet, throw it over the top, and I record on my phone. And that gives some nice crystal clear sound quality. There's also the Creative Commons, where you can get some public domain music if you're going to put, say, a montage sequence or something like that in there. So I've got, hopefully, 2 examples here of some bad audio, which I recorded in a cafe, and some good audio. And you'll see the difference that even though there's really, really good vision on screen, the audio just brings that production quality up and makes it look so much more professional. So we'll see how this goes. Excuse my... There we go.
Buskers provide important placemaking features to cities.
So it doesn't sound fantastic, but there's really good visuals there. I know it's really short. But if I compare that to something that has really good...
Buskers provide important placemaking features to cities.
You can see that that's just made such a big difference in how that video is seen. So even though it's just the audio that's changed, the vision just looks so much more professional and so much more slick. So number 2, show what you're talking about. Visuals are so much more engaging than spoken word, and it saves you time. If you're really struggling to fit all this information into your pitch, show it visually. It's going to help you out and to show those sorts of things. There's sites like Pexels Video that allow you to find copyright-safe overlay footage. So they've got hundreds of clips online that you can use that are all within the Creative Commons. Don't just take videos off on the internet without attributing them. That's plagiarism. Aim to change the shot about every 6 seconds. If you watch a motion picture, like a professionally produced film, you'll see that most shots change about every 6 seconds. Obviously, in a high-paced action film, that's going to be much quicker. And for some dramas, and that's going to be a much longer cut. But aim to keep that change. If it's just you talking to the camera for 3 minutes, it's not the most exciting thing. And that's where overlay is really good, because it can hide those mistakes. You don't have to worry about learning a 3-minute long pitch and talk for those entire 3 minutes. You can break that up into more manageable parts for you. A good script makes this process so easy. So again, script writing, as Sean said, that is such an important part of this process. If you know what you're going to say, you can map that to what you're going to show. So that whole planning thing, it's just such an important part of the video production process. Talk to the viewer, not the camera. As I said, framing is everything. Make sure the camera is level with your face. There's some fantastic free teleprompter apps on both the Play Store and iOS, which might be really useful for you if you are going to be talking for longer periods of time. It's a fantastic photo of Sean there. Consider where you're filming. Not many business pictures are done in someone's bedroom. Have a think about where you're going to be filming. Have a think about what's behind you. Obviously, you can shoot it on campus. The library also has some fantastic rooms where you can book that have, say, a green screen background and that. So have a look around, find somewhere that's professional for your pitch. And the camera can hide a lot of your enthusiasm. It seems a bit counterintuitive, but believe me, the camera takes away about half your personality when you're talking. And finally, from me, some useful resources. The Noun Project has literally thousands of free icons available. So if you're doing, say, a PowerPoint template just to show up, to reiterate some of your facts or key figures, the Noun Project is a fantastic place to get some of those icons. My two favourite video and photo sources, Unsplash and Pexels, they both have Creative Commons compatible licenses, which means you can use those in your projects. And like I said, Pexels actually has video resources as well, which is fantastic. There's also a lot of local stuff on Pexels. You'd be surprised how many Brisbane-based photographers actually put stuff on Pexels. And finally, the Creative Commons, which is sort of my favorite place on the internet. You can find everything on there, from illustrations to animations to Creative Commons music for any montage sequences that you may have. So there's some fantastic resources for you to get started with producing a video. So I'll hand you back over to Sean.
So now I'm just going to run through a couple of the tools that I recommend for making a video, especially if this is one of your first times doing this. If you use the right tool, it can make the process a lot less painful and you can cut out a few of the different steps. So given that you've got the option of submitting this as a PowerPoint or a video, I recommend actually doing a blend of those two and making a PowerPoint video. It's very easy to use, and if you've got a laptop, then you'll have all of the right ingredients. So you need a microphone and a webcam and Office 365. So you all have access to Office 365 with your UQ account. I'm just going to run through the steps quickly so you know what I'm talking about. So in PowerPoint, you would first prepare all of your slides, and then when you're ready to present, you would go to the recording tab up here, and then there's this button that would appear, Record Slideshow. And then you're going to get a screen like this. So you'll get a very small image of yourself, and then the majority of your content is up there. So this is great to keep the focus on the visuals, but still incorporating you. And you do have the option to actually turn off the camera at certain points, or for the whole thing if you like, and just do an audio only. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And that'll help you. One of the better features of doing it in PowerPoint is that you can do it one slide at a time. So, and you would record, say, slide 1, goes for 10 seconds or whatever, and then you hit next. And if you mess up in that slide, you only have to redo that slide. You can do them one at a time, and PowerPoint will export it as a complete video with just the take that you want to use. If this is going to be your first time making a video and you've made PowerPoints before, then I would suggest this is probably the easiest way to go. You can also do it in a Mac. I see a few Macs in the room. It's a little bit less intuitive. So I've got the steps here as well. So you use QuickTime as well as PowerPoint if you want to do it in a Mac. So you'd open QuickTime Player and click New Movie Recording. And that's going to bring up your webcam. And you want to click Float on Top so that it stays on top of the PowerPoint throughout the whole presentation. And then you want to record your screen. So you go new screen recording as well. And that's going to open up this dialog box here. Click the record button. And then you click this button here. And you'll see this little black dot in a circle up the top of your screen. And that means that everything on screen is recording. So you would just go through the steps. You'd hit you'd hit present slideshow. And then you'd get something like this. The difference between Mac and PC is obviously you'd need to do a little bit of editing there to chop it up, and you don't get the benefit of doing one slide at a time. But you do have the option of having your notes appear at the top of the screen, so you can talk to camera and have your notes or your script there in full. There's also Zoom, which is another program free to UQ students. You can download on your laptop. Very similar. It's uses screen recording, and there's some library guides on how you do that. Another option, which the university recommends, but I don't, is Kaltura. I don't know if you've had experience with it, but it's quite painful, and I would avoid it at all costs. It's a web-based screen recording device. Don't do it to yourself. The next step in the process is editing. So obviously, if you've done the first option, you're not going to need to edit your PowerPoint at all. You're going to produce a video straight from PowerPoint. But if you choose to use your phone or use a combination of different sources, then there's going to be some editing involved. Every computer in the university has Premiere Pro installed on it. That's like an industry standard video editing software tool, but it's also very technically complicated. And if you don't have any experience using it, I wouldn't recommend diving in the deep end right now, especially considering we've got a little over 2 weeks before this is due. For your purposes, I think iMovie or Photos are going to be exactly what you need. They're going to help you arrange clips and cut out sections, whatever you need to do for this sort of presentation, you can do in iMovie or Photos. You can do it in Premiere as well if you're feeling adventurous, but I wouldn't make it hard for yourself. Just stick with what's easiest. So I'm going to give a demonstration of the whole process now, what happens from script to screen. So some of you may have taken this subject on systems thinking, and we've got an example of Macquarie Island. So the first step would be research. You'd find out what you want to argue. The second step is scripting, get it all on paper. The third step is storyboarding. So organize your script into a structure that you can accompany visuals with and segment it into short bites. Then you'd take it to the editing studio. This is Premiere, and as you can see, it's quite complicated, but iMovie is a lot easier. And then you've got your final product. I'll just give you an example. I'll play it for you so you can see what it... Now this is produced in a studio UQ, so obviously the quality is a little bit different, but the idea is the same, of variation of piece to camera plus visuals and overlay. Sorry, just bear with me here. There we go.
Made problems cause detrimental effects that make the original problems worse. To begin the topic of system...
So I'd recommend starting a video with a piece to camera, just you talking to the camera. It's a great way to...
It's made to fix problems cause detrimental effects that make the original problems worse.
Yeah, true.
To begin the topic of systems thinking, we will explore the...
Brings the viewer's attention to you and you focus on their words, but you don't keep it too long because your attention will lag at that point. So soon
we will explore the case of a small island in the Southwest Pacific Ocean. Macquarie Island is located approximately halfway between Australia and Antarctica.
So this is an example of A-roll. So the stuff on screen is exactly depicting what you're talking about, but you're off screen.
The island is 34 kilometres long and since 1997 has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site that make the original...
And this is what Cameron referred to as overlay or B-roll. And you've just got various footage or visuals that help drive home your message.
Animal life. Macquarie Island is home to 4 species of seal, including 1/7 of the world population of...
And another thing that this video has is animation. There's a number of free animation tools. If you've got the time, it's worth pursuing because it can lend your video that variety that can really help drive home a message.
First landed on Macquarie Island, they introduced black...
There's a tool called Vyond, which has got a 2-week sign-up free period. And it's relatively easy to use. So I'd recommend giving that a crack if you're interested in pursuing animation. Vyond, V-Y-O-N-D. So this is the trickiest part of the whole process, which is submitting it. And that's why I've dedicated a little section to make sure that we can all do it right. It's using Kaltura, which is a little bit complicated. So I'm just going to run through quickly the process. So you go into your assignment in the assessment folder, navigate down to the folder, and then there'll be a link like this to submit the video. I've just set this one up for today. It's a practice submission. So you click this, and you'll get something like this text submission. You want to click Write Submission. You don't want to click Browse My Computer or attach a file. It's confusing that that's there, but that will not effectively submit your assignment. So you click Text Submission, you'll have this text box open up, and you want to click the Mashups button. And then you go to Kaltura Media. And this is where you upload your assignment. So you've each got a My Media page with Kaltura, and you'd want to click Add New to upload your assignment. Media Upload. And then you can either drag and drop it or select the file. I don't have anything on this computer, so we'll just stick with one that I've already uploaded. It might take a few minutes to upload as well, depending on the size. So I do recommend doing this step when you're at university because you've guaranteed a good bandwidth. So once you've uploaded it, say it was this one, you click Select. And that's going to embed it within your submission. And then you go down and click Submit. So I know it's a little bit convoluted, and I think e-learning are working on a better way to do this, but in the interim, that's how we're submitting video assignments. Which takes us to our next step. Which is we're going to get each of you to make a video right now and upload it using that link in your assessment folder. So in pairs, or maybe if you want to do it in tables, each of you use either your phone or your laptop camera or anything that you've got, maybe in pairs. Record a quick video, 10, 15 seconds, that's all it needs to be, and then upload it to Kaltura in the practice submission link. So we'll come around and help everyone as you go.